Welcome back to another segment of WeatherFirst Plus on the road. I'm meteorologist Kayla Smith, and today we are at the Strasbourg Planetarium, where I'm going to be talking to the director of the planetarium about the planetarium. We take a little bit of a tour, and we're going to talk about some of the things going on astronomically that you might be able to catch a glimpse of if you know where to look. I am joined here with Jim Bader, the director of the planetarium. Thank you so much, Jim, for talking to us about what it is that you guys do here. So right now we are in the planetarium. Tell me a little bit about this room.
Oh, this room, this 65-foot diameter domed room, is what I would call the single most immersive space in all of Western New York. We're really proud of it, and we get the opportunity on a regular basis to get to show the public, school children, and anybody else who dare step foot in our doors the wonders of the universe.
And I saw that you had some kids out here today. So what kind of do they get to do once they get here for like a school trip?
Yeah, so for school field trips, we have a blast with the kids. It depends on their age group and where they are in their studies at school, but we can do field trips and cover topics all across a range of different things: astronomy, climate, or weather related, and we have a blast with them. Today, the kids learned about the motions of planet Earth, so we had kids sprinting around the room, acting like planet Earth, understanding rotation and revolution, and we get to do all kinds of things like this just every day. It's an absolute dream for me.
Nice. So it's like a very immersive process for them, and it's not just them, watching something on a screen. That's them actually being able to partake in astronomy.
I mean, definitely. I think that if you're in a classroom, a lot of students expect a normal classroom education. But if you come to the planetarium, we like to make sure that it's an unforgettable experience. This goes not just for school field trips, but for regular public guests as well, that when you step into this room, we really do have this ability to change the entire atmosphere and transport you. And we don't like to make it just a lecture. We like to make those interactive. So for school kids, we have them up and around, we have them sitting down, we have them interacting and chanting back to us. It is really a ton of fun.
I can imagine being a young kid and being in here doing something like that would have been the best school day imaginable. Now, tell me about what we've got going on right here.
Yeah, so sitting here at the center of the theater actually is this is a quote from the company that produced it. Carl Zeiss is the oldest Zeiss instrument in the United States. It's the last one of its kind remaining in the Northern Hemisphere, and we're really proud to say it works nearly as well as it did on the very first day. Awesome. We don't use it most days today. We have a new digital system that is in its place, but we still do use this machine about once a month for a really special show that we call Stars with, do you guys know the name?
I don't.
Stars with Carl. This machine was nicknamed Carl by school children over the decades it's been running. And so its very own show today. We use it, as I said, once a month. That show, Stars with Carl, is really a magical experience, but it's an experience of the past. Today, we mostly use a digital system that lets us instantly and with tons of light bring up just about any kind of experience you could hope for.
Awesome. So you still get the homage to the oldest of this kind in the United States. And you said this is the last one that is running.
The last one of this particular model running in the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah.
Wow. So really impressive that you can still give that its flowers once a month, but then you still embrace the new with your new technologies and being able to create new experiences for folks coming to the planetarium. Now, I mean, this is the first time that I'm here, so I'm really enjoying like the way everything looks, and we have the lights on right now because when we turn the lights off, the camera probably isn't going to give us the best view. This is kind of an immersive experience that people really need to experience in person, correct?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how many folks do you seat in this room? Do you know about how many?
On a regular show, we try to set our capacity about at 140. We've certainly had more in the past where we've had seating capacity somewhere closer to 240. But we've found there's a middle ground between comfort in the planetarium and still getting enough people in here for our regular day-to-day use. So we're sitting right now at 140 people.
Okay, so a decent amount of people can get in here. And how often do you run those shows that you do here?
We're open every day that the museum is. So at the planetarium, we're doing shows from Tuesdays all the way till Sunday. The only day we're not really doing anything is on Monday. Tuesdays, we mostly spend with field trips. So we don't have public shows on Tuesdays most of the time, at least until we get to summer. But public shows, if you're just a regular person and you want to come experience the universe, you can show up Wednesday through Sunday. We will have many public shows on every single day for you to get to experience, not just stuff you can see in your night sky, but other interesting topics like black holes, or maybe you want to know about human spaceflight.
So you touch on all the things astronomy here.
Yeah.
Super interesting stuff. Is there anything else of note? You know, I see we've got this here, and then is that beanbags over there that I'm seeing?
Yeah, we do have beanbags. We've definitely found that if you have a place for guests to lay down to experience the universe, they'll take advantage of it.
Definitely.
We're really
I love that.
Happy to provide a lot of different seating experiences. We have classic theater seating where you're very close to one another and tucked into rows. We have some relaxing reclining chairs up front that the kids went really wild with this morning. And we also have beanbags in case guests just want to fully lay down and immerse themselves in the night sky.
That is so cool. I love that there's different options for people to get the experience that they desired. Now, how much does it cost? Like, do you get a ticket for entry, and how much does that typically cost?
Yeah, so for regular public guests, we do have lots of discounts. So we're part of Museums for All, which means that if you are receiving SNAP benefits, you can get deep discounts to the museum. And through that, you can also get discounts to the planetarium. We're really proud to take part in that. We also have some other community access programs as well. So if you're feeling like you need a little bit of assistance getting into the museum, we do have solutions. But generally speaking, for a planetarium show, regular star show, it starts at $14 as an adult, and we have discounts from there. So that's the maximum high end of the price.
I think that's a great price to be able to immerse yourself in such a cool experience. Definitely worthwhile.
Well, we have a wonderful team of experts that are excited about astronomy. They're super knowledgeable about the topics. It's definitely normal for you to come into a planetarium show and be listening to a PhD student at RIT or an actual PhD tell you about the night sky. So we have a wonderful staff. They're all very knowledgeable and experts on stuff you can see in your backyard, and also things you might need the world's most powerful instruments to get to see.
Nice. Now, we can walk a little bit and talk and kind of exit the planetarium and talk about other stuff. So how long have you been working here as the director?
Yeah, I actually started here at the director relatively recently. My first day was on Halloween of 2023. It was a spooky day, but mostly because I was immediately tasked with helping to get prepared for the 2024 total solar eclipse.
Oh, right.
I do think that was probably a nice factor as to why I was chosen for the job. I had a little bit of experience with it in the past.
Have you seen a total eclipse yourself?
Definitely. Total solar eclipses are wonderful, and I was here in 2024. We're on April 8th. Most of us were staring at clouds.
Right. Typical in Rochester.
Yeah, but I really think there is something to be said about that. I had never experienced a cloudy eclipse, and it was really spectacular. Getting to see the darkness happen the way that it did with the clouds was an experience I won't soon forget. And also, I will add that something that really echoed to me, I'm born and raised in Texas, so I was new to New York coming here. That was a wonderful experience for me to get to see Rochesterians at their best. We had what I initially felt as a big disappointment. Clouds covered the sun for this once-in-a-lifetime experience from Rochester, but Rochesterians banded together and they had a wonderful time, and nobody seemed to be genuinely upset about it. Everybody was really into it and really grateful that they got to see what they did, and in that moment I felt really bonded with the people of Rochester. So that's
a great way to get accepted into the city. And remind me, I think Rochester was within the total eclipse line, correct?
Yeah, Rochester was right in the path of the total solar eclipse of 2024.
Yeah.
So we had prime seats if we were going to get to see it. we were in a great place to do it. I moved from one end of the path in Texas at another planetarium to the other end of the path. And at the very last, few hours before the eclipse, clouds moved in to be cliche for Rochester, I think.
Yeah. But what better way to embrace Rochester than to
I
experience a cloudy eclipse? Now, before we walk over to this way, I did want to ask about what we have on display over here.
Absolutely. So this huge, giant telescope-looking instrument is really just that. It's a telescope that was used not to look into space, but to look back at Earth. Oh. Rochester has had lots of ties to defense industry, and this is a great example. This is a spy satellite that was classified for a very long time. Today, because Kodak had a hand in it, we get to display it here. We're really proud to have that opportunity. Rochester has had an immense impact in the space industry. It's not just spy satellites, but all kinds of things that look out into space and give us data that a lot of people don't necessarily connect to Rochester and our local community. And there's a bunch of satellites that are space telescopes and weather telescopes that are made in Rochester or have had a huge impact on their productivity from Rochester.
Wow, I didn't realize that Rochester had so much to do with the astronomy atmosphere.
The optics industry is definitely a big factor there. Obviously,
right.
Rochester is known for optics, but I will say there's one thing that really stands out to me from the very beginning. The most famous space telescope of all is the Hubble Space Telescope.
Yes.
It was notoriously sent to space, and then we found out that it was incorrectly focused. So you couldn't really see images very well, everything was blurry. That only got fixed because of engineers and scientists here in Rochester. They wrote the corrective lens prescription to fix Hubble and actually made it better than we expected it to be when we first sent it up.
Wow.
So that's because of the engineers here. And if you ask some of the people who were around at that time, I'm sure they'd tell you that if Rochester had built the Hubble Space Telescope, we would have checked that before we sent it to space.
I'm surprised that people didn't check that. You would think, the main reason for it is to look at things and for it to be out of focus. Yeah, Rochester would have never allowed that. But I'm glad that I learned something new today about that.
Other really cool impacts that Rochester's had that we talk about in our shows. If you want to come learn about this, you can come to just about any public show, are things that you wouldn't often connect. So best example is there was a new telescope, a ground-based telescope that opened just this past year in June, known as the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. It opened in Chile in South America, and this telescope is home to the world's largest digital camera. However, in making the world's largest digital camera, you need huge mirrors to collect a bunch of light so that you can take advantage of that huge camera.
Sure.
Inside of this telescope sits the largest convex mirror ever built, and it was built here in Rochester between L3 Harris Engineers and Corning. We have something really to be proud of. And that's just the beginning, because the next generation of space telescopes will be the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, which was also completely manufactured by L3 Harris here in Rochester. So this is the future of space industry, and it's happening around us, whether people realize it or not.
That's so exciting. And I think, was that the grant that was just permitted for L3 Harris? I had heard something recently that they were being approved to go forward with something. I don't know if it had something to do with that creation.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, yeah.
I can't tell you for sure.
This is your bread and butter here, being at the planetarium.
Yeah.
So we've got a little prop here because I wanted to talk to you about the planetary alignment, or as some people are calling it, the planet parade, that is set to happen on the nighttime of Saturday the 28th, and to my understanding that it is technically something that you could view now, but maybe the best optics are on the 28th. So I have heard right after sunset could be a great viewing time, but you've got a nice display here that kind of talks about what that is and what that means for what we could see here in Rochester.
Yeah, so we've heard this many times in the past, the idea of a planet parade. And I feel like guests come to the planetarium ready to ask this. and we get to disappoint them by telling them there are no floats. They won't be throwing candy, but Planet Parade is still a great opportunity for us to connect with the public and explain some super cool celestial mechanics, if you will. When we say Planet Parade, we're talking about the ability to see multiple planets in the sky at a single time. If they're close together, we might call this a conjunction, but all together, we'll often refer to it as a planet parade. So starting, I mean, it's been for a while, but on the 28th specifically, people are excited about the ability to get to see 6 planets. Those planets will include Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter. And if you were really fortunate, had a very clear view of the western horizon, knew exactly what to look for, and you have a telescope, you could see all of those. But it would be tough, even for a skilled astronomer. But are they there? Definitely. So they would be visible if you knew what to look for, and if you wanted to go out over a couple of nights, you might be able to capture them all. I think our biggest catch here in Rochester is weather.
Right.
We're really good at having clouds in the sky.
Yes.
And if you're trying to look at something out in space, that's not always ideal.
Yeah, and as a meteorologist, I can speak to that we probably will have some clouds once we're going towards sunset on Saturday, because we do have a cold front that's going to be coming in for that night and into Sunday. So probably going to be cloudy, probably not the best viewing, but this little diorama here, is that what you would call this?
Sure. Well, this is called an Ori.
An Ori.
An Ori is a way to show the solar system and its motions of the planets. I have this set up to roughly what we might experience on Saturday evening, right after the sun sets, immediately afterwards. So if you were to look at it from this angle, this might be our viewing angle. The sun is just set, and it's just out of your view sight. And right near the sun, we'll have both Mercury and Venus, these 2 planets here. Just a little higher off the horizon, you'll have Saturn, and then behind Saturn, but very near it in the sky, is Neptune. Neptune, you really need some kind of finding aid to see. A nice pair of binoculars or a telescope are definitely ideal.
Because that's our furthest away.
Yeah, that is the furthest away, and it's not quite big enough to stand out easy for regular naked eye astronomy, especially that low on the horizon.
Right.
Next up, also something you're going to need a finding aid to see will be Uranus. It's about halfway up the sky, but if you know what you're looking for and you have a small pair of binoculars, you might be able to pick it out. It's really not too bad, because even after the sun sets, it will be up for quite a while. Next up, and by far the jewel of the evening, will be Jupiter. Jupiter will be really high in the eastern sky, or near the zenith, or the highest point in the sky, shortly after the sun sets, and it will pierce through even light clouds. So it'd be really great to see. And anytime you have an opportunity to go out and see a planet, and somebody can direct you to it, it's just a great chance for you to do some astronomy. A lot of people don't realize that you can see planets, even from downtown Rochester. You don't need super dark skies. So I can't recommend it enough that if you or anyone you know who's excited about astronomy sees this as an opportunity, planet parade or not, take advantage of it. This is going to be a great time.
Yeah, even just being able to see one planet instead of all 6, if you can't see them all, at least you would be able to see Jupiter. Now, the moon is also going to be a little bit brighter because it is going to be getting close to a full moon. Do you think that might affect the ability to see any of these planets, even including Jupiter?
If we were depending on dark night and these more or less bright planets were near the moon, that might have an impact. But Jupiter is so bright, it's brighter than any other star in the sky other than the sun, that it's not really going to be affected too much by the moon. So that wouldn't be something I'd worry about. However, you did talk about the full moon that's coming.
Yes.
And we're having another wonderful coincidence of geometry. The moon will pass just opposite of the sun in our sky. This is normally when you experience a full moon, but in this case, the Earth will just nicely lens light through its atmosphere and hit the moon. What I mean by this is that on March 3rd, or this Tuesday, we will have a total lunar eclipse that will be visible from Rochester, only for a short period of time, but you will be able to see it. It starts pretty early in the morning, so that's really the catch for me as a night owl, about 6 a.m., and we'll be able to see it for maybe 45 minutes if you're lucky. You will need a clear view of the western sky, though.
So no cloud cover to be able to see that. And what does that look like on the moon? Does it kind of change the color, change the brightness of the moon?
Yes, a total lunar eclipse. What we're expecting to see is a blood red moon in some viewpoints. Here, you'll probably see a slightly reddish tinted moon if you have a good view of the western horizon, where we'll expect to see it. But lunar eclipses are often a lot easier and much more common for us to see because they cover a large path. So if you miss the total solar eclipse, this is not going to replace that experience, but it will still be a really good time and another great opportunity to get everybody outside and looking at the sky and experiencing some astronomy.
Absolutely. So you said that that's going to be Tuesday morning, you said, for like 6 a.m., kind of right before sunrise is going to be that best time to see that lunar eclipse.
Yeah, right before the sun comes up on Tuesday morning. You want to look towards the west, low on the horizon, and that'll be your best chance to see it. As we're getting through some of the peak maximum total lunar eclipse, the sun is going to start coming up. And that means that the moon, which will be dimmer, will be difficult to see. And that'll be the catch. You have to catch it early, before the sun comes up, right before the sun comes up, and watch it as long as you get the opportunity to.
So something for the early birds. So a lot of times when you're trying to look at the sky, it's maybe for the night owls going into the overnight period, but early birds get to do some viewing too this time. Now, are there any other astronomical things going on in recent, anything that's any rarity or anything that, you know, happens every so and often, X amount of years that we have going on, whether it's something with the planets or anything with the moon? So we talked about, you know, the planetary parade and the lunar eclipse. I didn't know if there was anything else astronomically interesting going on.
Well, I will say that the best thing to do, if you or anybody that you know wants to learn about what's happening in our sky, interesting event or not, come to one of our public shows. The Sky Tonight is a great chance for you to get to connect with a professional who is knowledgeable and can give you the best details of what you can see, and the best of all, actively show you. However, other interesting things that have been happening, the first is that we have been going through solar maximum for the last couple of years. Lots of activity on the surface of the sun. As just a couple days ago, the sun right now has no activity almost at all.
Wow.
So much so that the software we use to look at the night sky has been giving us errors because there's no data for it to compute those solar storms. This is really neat. Really what that means is that if you've been thinking about doing some solar observing, probably not the best time to do it. But other things we've been talking about, which we'd love to connect with you all on, are the new Artemis II mission updates. So humans are going back to the moon. Artemis II is the way we're going to do that. We're going to send humans in a rocket out to visit the moon, to come around the backside of it, and then come back to Earth. And we're doing live updates for that. We'll keep people in the loop if you come to our public shows to tell you what's happening, why these wet dress rehearsals aren't working, and updates to when we can expect new timelines.
Super interesting stuff that they can get all the updates here at the planetarium. One more question I did have about the planet parade that I did mean to ask while we were talking about it is how rare of an event is that? Whether just seeing multiple planets in the sky and seeing 6 planets at a time, if you have the means to.
Well, it depends on the planet parade. I've seen in the past where people will talk about some planet parades that are really rare. And you could call a planet parade rare if you're talking about where planets are relative to one another. But in reality, we get a planet parade constantly. The planets are always in a line. This plane that we can see here of the solar system means that this is a line from at least 1 or 2 dimensions. And in 3 dimensions, it maybe doesn't look like that from above, but from Earth, we can always see it. So no matter where we are, if you go out on just about any clear night and know where to look, you're going to get to see planets. Maybe not always at the most convenient time, and maybe not as in tight a spot as we can see what's coming up at the end of the week. but we have a lot of planets in the sky all the time. If you want to see them, you just need to come and talk to us. We'd be happy to walk you through how best to see what planets you have coming up. I will say that we have Venus, which is coming into view. Partly why this planet parade has a peak of the 28th is that you will have Mercury and Venus both in the sky and near each other. That's why we choose the 28th as kind of the peak for this. Mercury is on its way back around the sun, so it'll get closer, which means that we won't be able to see it very well. Venus, on the other hand, is on its way up. So it's coming out from around the sun, and it will continue doing that until about July before it starts headed back down. So we'll have a beautifully bright evening star from now until July.
That is so cool. And the fact that we can pretty much always see the planets if you know where to look and how to look at them. Jim, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. It was super interesting, and I hope people, after watching this, decide to come and take a trip to the planetarium themselves.
Definitely. We'd love to have you. I mean, having the public show up and getting to interact with them is why we do this job. It's what I get to wake up every day and be excited about, and I really do mean that. So we'd love to have anybody come out to see our show. At the same time, the museum still has open for just another month or so an incredible exhibit about astronauts. If you want to know what it takes to be an astronaut, if you've been seeing the headlines about Artemis 2 and humans going back to the moon, it's difficult to be an astronaut in space, and you can come check that out at our exhibit. It's open until early May, and it will close.
Wow, super interesting. Learn how to be an astronaut, learn about the planets, everything here at RMSC. Jim, thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 on demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.